into telephoto range. So typically focal length of 85, 100, 120, 150, even 200 will be called telephoto. What do you think these focal lengths are used for? What do you use it for? When would you use a longer focal length? If you want to take a bus shot, you want to take a portrait, what will you do? Will you go wide? Will you go 50? Or will you go 10? Okay. Yes? Very good. 85 mm is a very popular focal length for portrait shots. So normally if you are taking a bust shot or just a facial shot, a lot of people prefer an 85 mm focal length. As you go longer, you will typically use 400 mm focal lengths for wildlife or basic birding. Advanced birding will require even longer focal lengths like 500 mm, 600 mm. So when you see cricket matches and there are photographers standing around the ground with these long lenses, those are usually super telephoto lenses. So this is that range. So super teles are called super teles for two reasons. One, they either have a long focal length like this, or they have a very wide aperture, a very wide opening. So wide opening basically allows you to capture a lot more light than smaller. How expensive are lenses? Very is fine, but very is relative. Compare them to the cost of something else. How much does a lens cost? How much does a good lens cost? Come on, off the top of your head, just give me numbers. How much do you think the lens costs? Most lenses will usually cover either one or two wheelers up to a luxury sedan. Right? So lenses start at a few thousands and they can very easily cost up to 15 or 20 lakhs. So why are lenses so expensive? Lenses are expensive primarily one, as the openings become large, the amount of glass that is required, the amount of design effort that goes into controlling aberrations, making sure that the lens can deliver good image quality. As the lens becomes bigger, those challenges become more and more prominent. Which is why lens manufacturers have to put a lot of R&D effort into this. Also, as you start going to the extreme ends of the focal length range, you want an extremely wide lens, that becomes a challenge to manufacture, or you want an extremely long lens, that also is a challenge to manufacture. So the amount of glass, the amount of materials that get used, the amount of research that has to be done to make sure that the light continues to fall on the sensor the way you want it to without any deviations requires a lot of work. A lot of lenses are expensive simply because they give you better contrast. And why is contrast important? What is contrast really? Why do you need contrast in an image? When you shoot with your cell phone, when it's a cloudy days are low contrast days, versus when it's a bright sunny day. What is the difference that you see in the photo? Sorry? Exposure, yes, but I'm assuming that you will balance exposure in both cases to get the correct exposure. Even with the right exposure, with and without sunlight, what is going to be the difference in the image? What do your cloudy day images look like? Just think back. They're dark. What about colors? They look washed out? Yeah, they have low saturation. What about sharpness? Low sharpness when there is low contrast. So contrast to our eyes is associated very, very closely with sharpness. In fact, when we are usually referring to sharpness, in the lay sense of the word, we are talking about contrast. We are talking about how easily edges are separated. So a lot of lenses are manufactured for high contrast, to capture a good level of contrast, to capture a good level of definition, and depending on the amount of blur that they can create in the background. So with the larger opening, you can create a more pleasing blur in the background. Obviously, lenses that have image stabilization, lenses that are autofocus lenses become more expensive because there are more electronics in the lens. For the same specifications, a manual focus lens will be significantly cheaper. So if you are going to use largely manual focus, you can definitely look at cheaper lenses that you can buy. Sometimes there are special purpose lenses like fisheye lenses or tilt shift lenses. Okay? These are used for perspective correction. So a lot of the times these lenses become more expensive because they have a limited use. Apart from camera gear, you need things like support equipment, tripods, monopods, gimbals, etc. You need lighting. We have a couple of lights here. So these days, almost all lighting is LED. So lights have become smaller, they become more compact, they run a lot cooler than large lights used to run. Earlier, filament lights, etc., used to heat up very fast. So these modern lights run on at very low temperatures. Storage, there is a whole array of new storage mediums that have come out. There are SD cards, obviously we all know, we are familiar with SD and micro SD cards, but there is something called CF Express cards that have come out, which are way faster than SD cards. There are CFast cards, there are XQD cards. So there is a whole array of storage options that you can explore. A lot of cameras can record, especially video cameras can record directly to SSD. So that takes away the whole hassle of having to transfer your footage from the card to the drive. And then obviously in the editing space also there is a lot of change happening. Very good quality monitors have become very accessible. Earlier they used to cost a few lakhs, now you can get a good monitor with good color calibration under the band. These days we've also started getting editing consoles that can be used by individuals. Earlier large editing consoles used to be only for editing houses. Who were doing their in-house editing with large consoles with hundreds of controls. Now you get small portable consoles just like a keyboard. It has a few dials, it will have a trackball, it will have sliders, and you can configure them the way you want. Okay, I'm quickly touching on video, although in fact everything of what I've said earlier applies to video. This is just a few types of video cameras that exist in the market today. You can shoot video with the most basic of mirrorless cameras, even with most DSLR cameras you can shoot video. But then there are also dedicated video cameras. So I'm skipping these. There are cinema cameras have also become very affordable. The Sony FX3 costs about 2.5–3 lakhs. It's part of the cinema line. It gives the same look as Sony's higher-end cinema cameras. Similarly, there is the Sony FX6, which is an upgrade to the FX3. Again, a broadcast level camera. It has become very accessible. It costs about 6 or 7 lakhs, which is really cheap in this world. Then you have camcorders, obviously. Camcorders are very useful when you have to do long duration shooting. So you want to do continuous shooting. These other video cameras are usually used when you will be editing your footage before you release it. Camcorders are useful for broadcast kind of purposes where you are not going to do too much editing. You just need to copy that footage and release it. A very popular segment now is vlogging. You see so many people who are vlogging on YouTube or on Instagram, etc. So they need very compact cameras that are not very obtrusive, which will not attract a lot of attention and which can quickly capture something and upload it. So you've got a lot of cameras coming up in this space. Sony has about 4 or 5 vlogging cameras. Nikon has the Z30, Canon has the R50, Canon has released one more vlogging camera recently, which is very compact. It's as small as this. Why would you use a GoPro? Sorry? Action camera, yes. So basically, these cameras are designed to be used in situations that have fast action. If you have gone paragliding, for example, then you can use a GoPro to capture your view, the way you are seeing things. If you are going scuba diving, you can carry a GoPro because it is waterproof at that depth. So a lot of these action cameras have also started coming out. There are GoPros, there is an action camera by Insta360. DJI has action cameras. Insta360 also manufactures 360-degree cameras. So this is different from a fisheye view. A 360-degree view actually is a complete view. Top to bottom, left to right and around. So these cameras allow you to do those. These can also shoot videos in 360 degrees. So when you are watching the video, the viewer can pan in the video to see what else is happening in that setting. And then I'm just mentioning this for completeness. There are high-end cinema cameras. These are the cameras that Hollywood and Bollywood movies are shot on. Bollywood, in that sense, is completely at par with Hollywood as far as the cameras they use are concerned. A lot of the times, they're probably using better equipment than if you look at even the South. They are also using extremely good equipment at par with the rest of the world. So the leading cameras in that space are the ARRI Alexa, the Alexa 35 or the Alexa LF. The LF is basically a large sensor camera. The 35 is an APS-C camera, a Super 35 sensor camera. There is the ARRI Mini LF. And now Sony has come out with a couple of options that are being adopted by feature films widely, which is the Sony Venice 2 and the Sony Burano. A lot of stills cameras will give you basic video features. Most cameras can now do 4K video recording. A lot of high-end DSLR or high-end mirrorless cameras will do 6K and 8K recording as well. You can get raw video output now. Earlier it was very, very difficult. You needed dedicated video cameras to get raw output. You can get that from most stills cameras as well. A lot of cameras can do slow motion, 120 FPS, 240 FPS, slowing things down 2x, 4x, etc. Face, head, eye tracking in AF we've discussed. There is something called log shooting. Is anybody familiar with what log means? No? Okay, let me just stop this by saying log is a format in which you can capture maximum data. You can capture maximum image information. It is like the raw format in stills. So in video, the equivalent format is log. And they also give you focus peaking. So focus peaking basically allows you to use manual focus lenses without autofocus. The lens basically indicates to you when your subject is in focus. So you can get some guidance. You don't have to rely only on your eyes. Okay, lights. There is a huge range of lights available today. Fundamentally, there are flashlights or strobes which are used for photography, and there are continuous lights which are used for video. Although a lot of people are using continuous lights also for staging. All of these lights are LED lights. You can get RGB options. You can get lights with variable color temperature. You can get lights with where you can change the color either using HSL or RGB values. You can also get a lot of effects. Most of these lights, these are all Chinese lights by the way. They can sync to music. There is music playing in front of the light will start syncing effects to the music itself. It can simulate a police vehicle. You see those typical red and blue flashing lights in videos. One light can do that. It can give you the effect of a fire. It can give you the effect of a broken bulb. It has 16 or 17 effects that come built in that one light. And most of these lights can be controlled from the smartphone. So you do not need large control systems to monitor lights. You can sync your phone using Bluetooth and control the light from your phone. And there is a lot of options now for battery operated lights. A few years back, there were hardly any battery operated lights. You used to have to run portable inverters and cables from the inverter to the light. That no more is required. How many of you have looked at the impact of AI on imaging? How many of you have read articles or seen AI in action? It is going to have an impact. It's not going to change things completely, but already we are seeing that a lot of product photographers have started losing work to AI because customers are shooting basic shots and then using AI to create the creatives that they want. Right? So do be aware of the effect of AI. AI easily is going to be the largest disruptor by the time you guys hit the job market. By the time you guys start working, AI will definitely have made a deep impact on all of these technologies. So apart from that, we've spoken about manual lenses, we've spoken about subject recognition. Mobile phone sensors are getting a lot better than they used to be. A lot of us now shoot casual shots on our cell phones. Cell phones will continue to get better, there's no doubt about it. So should you use a camera or should you use a cell phone is something that you probably will encounter in your commercial life, in your career. My simple take on that is use whatever gets the job done faster and better. So sometimes the mobile phone lets you do that much better. If you need to upload something, the mobile phone is just a handier tool, it's easier to use. I'll show you an example of this that I have proposed. These two are fairly, very exclusive applications. There are something called light field cameras which allow you to do something very similar to post focus. There used to be a camera called Nitro, which used to capture the entire light field, all the light information that's coming to it, it will capture, and then allow you to choose a lot of things in post, including focus. There are 3D lenses also, which basically is two lenses in one. It allows you to capture the perspective of the left eye and the right eye, the way humans see the world. We see the world in 3D because we have two eyes. That's something the lens also simulates. Okay, let me show you an example of this. This is Zaveri Bazaar in Mumbai. I just took a shot. There is a Jama Masjid at the end, the back. I have just zoomed in on this photo over here. Unfortunately, it's too low resolution. But can you make out that this looks like a cartoon? It looks like a sketch, right? So what my phone has done is it has tried to enhance this, given this kind of a look. The actual version looks like this. So this is the extent to which AI is prevalent in phones. Phones are definitely going to get better. They are definitely going to challenge a lot of visual creators. And you need to decide which side of the device you are on and how you are going to use these tools. So that brings me to the end of what I have to say. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. If you have any doubts, you have any disagreements with what I have said, by all means, please bring them up.